is Smart Consulting Sourcing, the only podcast about consulting procurement or how to buy consulting services. You'll get tips on how to use consulting, buy consulting, and managing the consulting. And now your host, Helene Lafitte.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Smart Consulting Sourcing, the only podcast about consulting procurement. I am Helene, and today I'm going to tell you about how to diagnose the maturity of your consulting procurement practices, the first step to your transformation journey. But before we get started, let me give you a brief recap of what we discussed on our last 6-level series episode. So, organizations must ensure they stay ahead of the transformation curve if they want to be successful. This requires an all-hands approach where top management is aligned with a common vision and stakeholders from across functions collaborate together. According to John Cotter's 8 steps for effective change, building urgency around communication makes this process even smoother. Similarly, the late David Nadler encouraged learning from past mistakes in order to maximize ROI for consulting spend going forward. So opening up channels of dialogue allows clearly outlining who needs what information when, as well as reducing potential resistance that could arise due to cultural or technical differences. And ultimately, that leads towards improved adoption rates, and collective celebration successes. So if you miss this episode, have no fear. You can find the podcast on Spotify and iTunes and other podcast platforms. You can also watch it on YouTube on our channel. And for those who prefer reading to listening, head to our website, consultingquest.com, where you will find the transcripts of every juicy detail in our thought leadership section. Now, let's talk about consulting procurement practices, shall we? Are you looking for an upgrade? Yeah, well, you've come to the right place. In today's episode, I'll provide an easy-to-follow framework that we call at Consulting Quest the Consulting Performance Scanner. It will help you analyze your consulting spend and establish a reliable baseline. This will let you explore the 3 main dimensions of your procurement: how much is being spent and on what exactly, how decisions are made from start to finish when contracting a consulting provider, and finally, what impact and ROI you can expect from your projects and consulting suppliers. So with this data structure, you can get ahead by understanding the patterns of your consulting spend, capture quick gains, and even get support from your team members to jumpstart a self-funded journey. So building the case for change is a very important part of any transformation process. It provides clarity and direction to the project while ensuring that everyone involved is on board and that progress is made in an efficient way. So when improving a consulting procurement capability to maximize the ROI of your spend, it's essential to bring together stakeholders from all relevant departments in order to create visibility and alignment around the desired outcome. So this will ensure that all parties are engaged with the project and can collaborate effectively throughout its life cycle to help build successful outcomes. Capturing and analyzing data is a crucial part of building the case for change when it comes to consulting procurement. So normalized data from different business units should be collected to ensure accuracy, while dimension and metrics should also be carefully defined to inform decisions about who is spending and what type of consulting is being purchased. So it's important to leverage the existing organizational structure when analyzing spend, as this will help identify potential behaviors and list the required capabilities for your business. So additionally, setting a threshold for consulting firms can help filter out outliers that don't meet set criteria, right? And in terms of the observation period, using data from the previous fiscal year as a baseline gives you enough information upon which you can build your insights and analysis. So ultimately, what you're striving for is what Carla Fiona said. It's the goal is to turn data into information and information into insight. So the data required includes knowing how much money was spent on consulting, who bought the consulting services, what type of consulting was purchased, how long the project took, and who they were purchased from. So this data can be found in sources such as invoices, purchase orders, RFPs, supply information, or RFIs. So once you've collected the data, you can prepare an overview of your spend. This includes financials, such as how much you spend, the ratio to revenues, and how much each business unit or division spent. It also includes users who, among the functions and businesses unit, brought consulting services, who were the project sponsors, and what type of consulting they bought. And it further looks at projects, their capability, primary purpose, cost, and sequels and topic, where overspending or underspending may be an issue. Finally, it looks at suppliers, the profile, top suppliers, and how many projects have been done with them. So next up, you need to understand how decisions are made about consulting in your organization. As Daniel Morin say, you can have data without information, but you cannot have information without data, right? So to collect this evidence-based picture, it's important to go through each project in detail and organize the data using the organization structure and project capabilities. When looking at why they bought consulting, you need to consider who made the decision and what validation were required. You must define who paid for the services, whether it was the same person or not. And additionally, it's important to investigate if any competitions were organized in order to select the best supplier for the job. And also check whether procurement was involved at any point of the process. So in terms of inception, it's useful to examine who bought this project and why they decided to work with consulting in this case. And now when it comes to collaboration questions such as who was involved from the procurement team, when, and what other stakeholders participated are relevant here. Answers related to decision-making can be found by asking who decided on certain elements of the project, as well as which validations were defined for those decisions. And lastly, when considering sourcing options, we must assess if a competition was relevant or necessary. Did specific units always require or exclude competitions? What threshold determines if one should be conducted or not? What are the criteria? When you are investing in a consulting firm, what is important is to evaluate the return on investment and make sure that you're getting the most value for your money. And to do this, there are several data points to consider, such as the characteristic of the projects that are being undertaken. So purpose, length, price, the partners from the consulting firm that are involved in the project, and whether or not the consulting team understood and delivered as expected. And additionally, assessing the performance of suppliers and evaluating areas where with higher ROI can provide additional insight into how successful your investment has been. So to analyze these data points, so surveys, interviews, proposal, and project documents can be used as sources. When you look at segmentation and pricing factors such as average price and length, that can be analyzed for significant difference by capability, region, business unit, and supply. And for instance, analyzing variability between different suppliers' capability or different regions might help identify which ones offer better value for money. So now examining supplier performance can help to identify high and low performers per capability, along with overall performance and NPS, Net Promoter Score ratings. That will enable an informed decision about which suppliers should be relied upon more heavily in future projects. And lastly, it's important to explore areas where ROI was higher or lower than expected in order to determine what went wrong with less successful projects, so that similar mistakes can be avoided moving forward. Investing in a consulting firm is a big decision that needs careful consideration. Understanding exactly why you're getting good results from your provider is just one piece of the puzzle that helps ensure any investments being made are worthwhile. Armed with this diagnosis, you can now take several corrective actions to generate quick results and savings. So you can dig deeper into data by analyzing, slicing, finding patterns and looking for outliers. Maybe a given function or business unit is spending much more on consulting than others. Additionally, check for discrepancy in the pricing of the same consulting providers across different regions like Europe and North America, for instance. Once you have a good understanding of your existing portfolio of projects, you have all the necessary information to start improving your sourcing strategy. Define segment and set threshold for spending. If you have an internal consulting group, investigate why or why not your teams choose to work with them. Check out their prices compared to external providers and investigate if collaboration between your internal consulting group and your team is running smoothly. You also have comprehensive knowledge about who is on your roster of consultants, both demographically and performance-wise, which enables you to fine-tune the panel of consulting firms based on criteria such as discarding low-performance providers while bringing in fresh blood, diversifying suppliers, and identifying potential synergy across different groups and business units. Finally, hone down your consulting spend research so that it focuses solely on elements that are crucial to your company's success. This continuous analysis will help you keep track of everything related to consultancy expenses in the long run. When it comes to successful consulting project, there are several factors that need to be considered. Of course, the scope and objective of the project, as well as the talent of the consulting team, are paramount. Additionally, a great request for proposal must also be created with clarity in mind. It's important to note that when describing desired results, one should focus on what they're hoping to achieve rather than how they will get there, right? And furthermore, it can often be beneficial to put consultants in competition to compare different approaches or innovative ideas between firms, choosing one firm, one work for my project. But it's important to recognize that that may not necessarily be the best choice for every other project after that. So it's also essential to understand where your practice is in terms of maturity and identifying the steps required to make it move forward to greatness. This way you can ensure that you have all the processes and procedures firmly established before undertaking a consulting project so that mistakes and delays can be avoided. And ultimately, having a clear understanding of what needs to be achieved is key for any successful project, both outsourced or otherwise. Having assessed your spend, supplies, and buying habits, you can now determine the areas for improvement. The value of this process is quantifiable in terms of potential savings resulting from better negotiation, access to specialized consultants with political and industry experience, cost avoidance from pursuing only strategic projects, and impact from more efficient management. All of these benefits combine to provide an attractive and ambitious yet achievable transformation plan for your ways of buying consulting, which will be easy to sell to senior management. Utilizing the 6 levers at your disposal, whether it's for achieving more savings or having a greater impact, will help you realize the full prize that awaits. From improved project management to better define needs before external parties are contracted, the improvements tend to make a huge difference in the final outcome. So by making the right decisions, you can unlock newfound opportunities in terms of valuable partnership with specialized professionals. This gives you a chance to reach outcomes that would otherwise remain beyond grasp while reaping greater rewards through increased efficiency and insight-driven decision-making processes. The result of such changes could easily determine what makes this initiative a no-brainer for senior management, as well as create a meaningful shift forward in consulting services procurement, an activity that should not be overlooked if success is sought after. So, to conclude today's topic, if you apply the principles of our consulting performance scanner that I have described today, you'll be able to define your baseline by analyzing your consulting spend, measuring the performance of your consulting suppliers, understanding how decisions are made about consulting in your organization. And that data will provide you with powerful insight into your consulting spend, enabling you to make informed decisions. You will be able to decide what are the opportunities for your organization and what is the associated price. This is the only way to build an attractive and ambitious yet achievable case for change for your top management. And once they've been convinced, you'll be ready to develop a plan for the future. But we'll leave that conversation for another time. Keep an eye up for me next week when I return with another exciting topic. Till then, stay safe and happy sourcing. And if you have questions regarding today's topic or anything consulting procurement related, remember you can contact me directly on LinkedIn or by email because I'm always game for a chat. Bye and see you next week. Au revoir.
You've been listening to Smart Consulting Sourcing, the only podcast about consulting procurement. We hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, hit the website at consultingquest.com. Find us on LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. For questions and comments, send an email to ellen.lafitte@consultingquest.com. See you next time.